This week on The Mandalorian, Chapter 10, The Passenger.
Well, this is my part, right?
Yeah.
Okay, wait a second, then I'll start. The Mandalorian struggles behind the wheel.
Baby Yoda eats an omelet.
And sometimes we all go through a ride program.
And the Mandalorian gets arachnophobia. All right, Ged, we just finished watching this week's episode of The Mandalorian. Let's give it a quick little review here.
Okay.
Again, we're inching, forward on the storyline, but again, we kind of got another standalone episode, kind of another Monster of the Week episode, to be honest. It was, I don't want to call it filler, but...
No, I think you could call it filler.
Okay, filler.
Yeah, I think you could pretty much call that
Yeah.
a filler episode.
Yeah, it's kind of a slow-paced kind of story to, fill the timeline up, I guess.
Well, I guess to define filler, like, to me, this episode was a filler because it did nothing for the longevity of the season itself.
Yeah.
I cannot see a single thing that happened, which we'll get into in a moment, obviously, that comes along down the road, except for one part, which obviously we'll go into in the spoiler part.
Yeah, so nothing groundbreaking this episode. Aesthetically, again, it's beautiful to look at.
It's incredible.
Well done.
Yep.
Production's high end. Again, even though it's kind of a middling filler episode, love it. Sign me up any day for this kind of content.
I enjoy it. The one thing I like so far that, I don't know if it's Favreau or Filoni doing this, who you told me makes an appearance in this episode, it's kind of cool to talk about, was that their great use of humor. So obviously when we get into the spoiler part, it seems like when there's something that doesn't have to do with the longevity of that episode, the big main story, they do a really good job at keeping you entertained by having some really cool, like, comedic moment, which is great because The Mandalorian is so dry that to have humor and have that dry response to me is a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's always been kind of the trademark of Star Wars, right? They've always been able to inject those random bits of humor there, whether it's the droids, whether it's the child.
All right, so is it spoiler time? It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, so if you made it this far, I hope you've seen the episode. So spoiler territory, now's your chance to turn it off and go watch it and catch back up with us in a bit.
And again, hold on, for the record, if you haven't watched it, I understand it's Friday morning, but there's nothing better you can be doing with your time. Unless you're one of those amazing people who are still going to work, who are frontline workers, you get a pass. If you are at home and you have not watched The Mandalorian, shame on you, get your priorities straight, because here come spoilers.
Let's get
into it. Is this where you do like the spoiler thing? We should set it up almost like the Wayne's World thing. Spoiler time. Okay. All right.
Okay, get into spoilers. So the first biggie is
X-Wings!
And we get an inside look kind of more into the New Republic, right? This is life after the Empire.
Yep.
And the X-Wings are basically being highway patrol here, to be honest.
All right, ma'am. Hand over your license and registration.
They kind of are.
Yeah.
Don't they almost get stopped on a ride program? Hence the thing from
earlier. It's asking for his transponder to be on. We can't identify you. We're cleaning up remnants of the Empire. You need to identify who you are, or else we're gonna have to take you out and take you downtown.
I'll be honest. They almost kind of sound like the United Nations. If you don't, I'll be angry. Well, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna tell you I'm angry and direct you nicely. There's no oh no, we'll shoot. I'm going to give you 38 more warnings, and then I might fire a warning shot. You can tell it's very different than the approach of the Empire, obviously, right?
Yeah, exactly. They give Mando more than enough time to produce what he needs to do, and he keeps coming up with excuses. And I love... I
love the line, where's he going to go in that thing? Yeah. He's driving, literally trying to fly this bus and evade X-Wing.
I love in the gallery series, the behind the scenes thing they did, when they talked about when Filoni and the other directors, I think it was Deborah Chow and Rick were in the X-Wings in that one episode. Favreau, when directing them, said, just be boring. Be as boring as possible. The voiceover, radio comm should be boring and dry. And I feel like we get that again. It's almost the point where it's it's enjoyable to hear it's just, I'm just doing my job, flying down here.
Yeah, in license and registration, please. Yeah. Interesting opening sequence with setting a trap out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, so we open with the Mando still on Tatooine, ripping across the desert, and some bandits are still after the child, it looks like, right?
Yeah, it doesn't work out well. I love the liftoff scene where he trades his jetpack. I mean, you got to be all kinds of stupid to think you can walk away with that.
I'm thinking, like, there's no way he's just going to let him walk with that after making the deal.
I thought he was going to ask for the armor.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to ask for Boba Fett's.
Yeah, because he does say there's lots of things that are valuable, and it focuses right in on the chest plate there.
Yeah.
And then, wants the jetpack.
But I think that there's an important moment there. As much as he values Mandalorian armor and Mandalorian heritage, I think it's really starting to show the transition to his priority being the child.
Yeah.
And this is something that, it's no secret that he was not excited at all about the idea of having to return the child to its own kind. And yet now, he literally kills a crate dragon, does everything possible to get this armor back, and he's willing to trade it, in theory, just so the child is safe.
Yeah, it's a good point. The father figure is coming out. He even tells the child to go take a nap, I think, in this episode.
Nap time.
So he's
and to not eat all the eggs. So good.
Yeah.
Now, not being a parent, during the episode, I actually asked Tyler, who has 2 small kids, like, is that what being a parent is? You just say no and your kids do it anyway?
Yeah.
To which he looked at me with very heavy eyes. Sorry, Kels.
24/7.
Yeah, and it happens all the time, which is nice because in my house, I'm the only person that gets told no all the time. So I understand kind of both sides of the equation, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
What else? Spiders. So first of all, this does not take place near Hogwarts. Just so we're all on the same page. There's no universe crossover here. But yeah, talk about the other spiders.
Yeah, so spiders. So for those of you who watch Rebels, on the Rebel kind of secret base, there's spiders that they have to set up a perimeter around, keeps them away. I think they're called the Krinka or something like that. And these spiders look very much like it. And they're terrorizing the Mando, and obviously with Dave Filoni's involvement, that's obviously something that you could see him potentially bringing in. And after looking after the episode, the Krinka were based on Ralph McQuarrie's original artwork for a creature on Dagobah, which was called a white knobby spider. And if you actually look at that artwork, the spiders we see in this cave are identical to Ralph McQuarrie's original work. So great nod to kind of the original artist of Star Wars, right? When he formed George Lucas's original trilogy. So it's neat to see that come in. And also they're obviously it's not the same species as the one in Rebels, but it's also kind of a nod to Rebels in my mind as well, right?
And that was always the plan, was to keep the fanboys happy. And Favreau was very, very vocal about the fact that he wants to pay tribute to idiots like us and the generation ahead of us that have spent 40 years overanalyzing the entire Star Wars universe, right?
Yeah.
And for the record, though, the only reason they get terrorized by spiders is because the child can't stop eating.
He's insatiable hunger.
Literally. The kid eats like 4 of the eggs of the passenger, and a really funny one at the end. It was hilarious. Yeah. And then he starts to eat the spider eggs. Like, 5 across the eyes to the child.
Yeah.
Although it probably wouldn't work out well if he's a massive force wielder.
Yeah, he'd probably stop that.
But okay, so where do you think we go from here? I'm gonna this wasn't part of our chat beforehand. So what's next? We have a building episode with Boba Fett.
Yeah.
We got a filler.
Yeah. So I think for anyone who's seen the trailer, right? We've covered probably 75% of what's happened in the trailer so far. And what hasn't happened yet? Sailing on a boat on the water world. Where's the passenger trying to go? To a water world. So I think we're gonna see those final shots of the trailer. Next episode, we're gonna see the mysterious, what's her name? Sasha Banks, the hooded character, kind of looks like Sabine.
Yep.
Who was from the trailer on the docks there. I'm assuming we're gonna find out more about that character in the next episode. So that's where I think next episode is when we'll start to pick up steam as far as the main storyline.
Do you think we'll see a little bit more of the remnants of the Empire in the next episode? Because obviously in
they were
trailer,
in the trailer as well. So so that's the other piece that's missing, possibly. And it'll the Mandalorian enclave there. Like, who do you think he's going to find? Do you think there's going to be anything?
I don't think you're going to see Ahsoka yet.
Yeah.
I have a gut feeling I feel like you might see Trace or her sister, which for those of you that watched the last season of the Clone Wars was a huge part of that, and her relationship there. I think you're going to start to see allies to the Jedi. I feel like we're going to get a nibble of that.
Well, let's to just take it a step further. He's searching for Mandalorians to help him in search to find the child's whatever, right? But why would any Mandalorian know really anything about the Jedi in this time period? And unless said Mandalorian has seen Jedi and knows Jedi, and there's really only two that come to mind, and those are the two rumored ones in Bo-Katan or Sabine Wren. So are we going to get one of those figures in that enclave?
Either way, I'm going to be obscenely happy.
Yeah.
I would love to see either of those characters, especially with Kate Sackhoff, aka Starbuck.
I think we're speeding towards a Bo-Katan introduction here any episode now.
All right. So that's it. It's chapter 10. The Passenger. Tyler from Rogue Leaguer. Ged, Fabolous Flix. Want to give a shout out to Spinny Designs for our Mando's babysitting shirts. As of right now, these are not available, but a big shout out to the curator of Spinny Designs for putting these together for us today. Do you have anything to add before we sign off?
No. Can't wait for next week.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Guys, have a great one.
Get
Subscribe.
there,
Pew, 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 pew. All right.